Crane joins me now from Decatur, Georgia. He's a principal at the public relations firm CSI Crane. Bill, first, your reaction to this news conference. His written remarks only lasted about 15 minutes, and then he spent much longer, about an hour and a half, answering questions. Do you think, Bill, that Biden's answers and his message will resonate with everyday people?
Well, it's hard to know how many people, America or otherwise, were watching a press conference that wasn't offered live by all the networks at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So dribs and drabs of it will get out there. Pieces of it are already appearing on Facebook and YouTube. But some of the headlines I think we have to fact check. I give Joe Biden and his administration an A on getting vaccines out there, 200 million doses. But I don't believe that factually you can back up 75% of eligible population having all of their vaccinations, which would be, if you were Pfizer or Moderna, 2 vaccines and a booster. I'm here in Georgia, specifically Metro Atlanta, where the vaccination rate in a top 10 population state is just over 50%. So I'm not sure how you get to 75%, knowing that states that are among the highest in percentage, like Delaware, New York State, California, only account for about 35 or 40% of the country's population. So I think that may have been an overstated number. And we know there's been severe bobbling of the ball on testing and other aspects of the coronavirus. But I thought the president did better than I expected he would have done, both in terms of stamina and not really fluffing it in terms of his visual appearance of the answers today.
Yeah, he's having some problems, though, getting his agenda through Congress, even can't get his own party completely on board. Tell us about some of the challenges he faces going into this second year of his presidency when getting his agenda done.
In terms of his domestic agenda, really the only thing that has been accomplished is the first infrastructure bill, which was bipartisan, trimmed back from $2 trillion to about $1.4 trillion, with the Republicans on board to deal with things like roads, bridges, infrastructure, rail infrastructure, and airports. That's passed, and those dollars are starting to hit the ground, if you will, in projects across the country. But the Build Back Better program has been really a big bust. $3 trillion trimmed back to 1.5, and the president can't even secure all 50 members of the Senate on the Democratic side of the aisle for that. He's made a big push on voting rights, and many think overstepped in terms of the way he tried to sell that in Atlanta, Georgia last week, comparing anyone who opposed either changing filibuster rules or these 2 rather significant federal overtakes of all state and local elections as basically being Jim Crow 2.0, and you're either with Abraham Lincoln or Bull Connor, George Wallace, or and I would remind the folks who might be watching this in Asia, Bull Connor and some of the names the president called out, George Wallace, none of those folks were Republicans. The civil rights era was largely Republicans on the congressional level supporting African American leaders until Lyndon Johnson, as president, decided it was time for both the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act after the assassination of John Kennedy.
Bill, we have about a minute left. If you can give us a little perspective, is the first year in a new presidency typically the most difficult? Talk to us about where things stand. The president mentioned inflation. He knew that things are tough for a lot of people in this current economy.
He inherited a lot: a pandemic, a softening economy, massive job cuts as a result of the shutdown of the pandemic. But no, typically the first year is optimistic and 100 days of honeymoon, if you will, with the national news media, and you're able to at least get some of your agenda accomplished. It's been a very frustrating year for Joe Biden, and I don't know, with the midterms ahead, likely to cause a loss of the majority of the Democrats, probably in the House, possibly in the Senate, that the sledding gets any easier for him.
Bill Crane, always great to see you. Thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it.
Take care.